think Magnus is going to use his pawn to divert that knight away. And when he does that, it does seem like it should be winning.
OK, so after the trade of pawns, suddenly the table base, this endgame database where everything has been worked out, came into force. And, well, his last move was a mistake, his rook move. And now, from this position, black can actually win for reasons I don't know, but he could actually put the queen to d5, and that would have been a win. After this move, it's a draw.
Oh, but still not an easy draw.
No.
I mean, this is the kind of move, I think you mentioned, David, one of Magnus's favourite moves. You allow a discovered check. So wherever the knight moves, the black king is in check. But even that, to draw that, I mean, I would assume this position is completely winning. If I looked at this, I'd be like, the losing move.
Oh, that's a losing one.
Oh, no.
Yeah, knight's on the edge of the board. I mean, this one also looks odd.
Yeah.
I mean, the knight is almost trapping itself. I guess it's going to go to this f5 square, which we normally love, but
this is like the beauty of chess and like the wonder of it all. Magnus's natural king move, that was also a mistake. And now the position is suddenly drawn.
Chess is evil.
I mean, table-based computers.
We should explain to some of the viewers who may be new to chess what table base is. It's when I think there's 7 pieces or fewer, and that has been worked out just mathematically by computers. They've worked out what the best moves are for each side on every turn. So objectively, with best play, I'm not sure, is it still a draw?
It's still a draw now.
Still a draw.
Yeah.
There must be a way to push it.
This is the thing. If I think if black can, well, he can push it now,
but it gets captured. If Ivanchuk, maybe he's found a way to draw. Maybe this is the drawing idea.
With the white king coming forwards, you're really containing that pawn. So it might be a blockade that we've got here in this position.
You can give a check and repeat the position. Ivanchuk does this. He checks, the king has to go back, and he'll repeat. OK, the king goes back in a different way. We should also mention that taking this knight is a draw. It's king and pawn, but the white king is safely in front of the black pawn. So study your king and pawn endgames. This one is a draw. You just need to know where to go with the white king. So Magnus won't go for this in the current position. It's all about this g3 square, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is probably why that king move was a mistake by Magnus, putting the king on the G line.
Well,
those moves
maybe he can go round again.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same thing. The king is in the worst square. If you can get the king to avoid that trick, you might be able to push the pawn. This is, and he's trying it. So he's trying to get the king around. Now, at some point, that black pawn maybe can come forwards, right?
Yeah.
If he can push it forward safely, he's going to win, Magnus. But
OK.
Knight check, discover check.
Apparently still safe, still a draw.
Moves. Wow, he's really defending like a lion here, Ivanchuk. He's going to drop his knight back, and he's just going to sit. Maybe he's waiting. Maybe that's a fortress.
Yeah. I've never had a holiday on the like. Right,
Simon hasn't watched the full Monty, I found out today either. That's,
What?
No, I haven't. No, maybe tonight.
I thought that was you had to do that in school in England or something.
Yeah, I think it's a very English film, right? So yeah, maybe not primary school, I guess.
It came out when we were at university, right? So that's our excuse.
Right.
I think isn't that like one of Magnus Carlsen's favorite movies of all time?
Is that?
Probably. I've never discussed it with him, I think. But meanwhile, this fortress continues. Ivanchuk, he did it kind of the long way around. He brought his knight the whole way around the board, but he's found the ideal defensive square for it.
But Magnus doesn't believe in fortresses.
Yeah, they do exist, though.
They do. They certainly do. So how many moves have we got, David? Because the rule in chess is if there's no capture, so that means no pieces are taken off the board, or there's no pawn moves. If you have 50 moves that happen like that, the game is a draw. So that could well happen here, because there's no reason at all Magnus will agree to a draw. They're going to have to play it out, because obviously white can make a mistake. Yeah.
Black's last pawn move, the last pawn move or capture, was move 72.
Right. So we got 122 to get to before a draw can be claimed.
So it's about to be move 90, so we'll have 32 moves left.
Wow.
Ivanchuk needs to survive 32 moves without allowing a capture of one of his pieces or the black pawn from pushing.
Yeah.
But Magnus is like trying everything. You know, if the black king can at the right moment come maybe one square forwards, then he'd be potentially winning. If the black pawn can step one square forwards, he'd be potentially winning. So there's still danger here. But Chucky seems to know what he's doing. Yeah. It's a Chucky fortress, you know. No one gets through a Chuck fortress.
Yeah. Well, he has to kind of maintain that configuration. So the only few moves that he can play is just move the knight to the g3 square.
Yeah.
And Magnus giving a check.
Oh, this looks a bit scary.
This looks a bit scary. The rook
scary.
has to kind of, again, curl itself up again and defend the knight. Rook goes to g2.
This is like a type of fortress where the gate, like the door, is made of straw or something. It's like at any moment someone could just burst through, but
definitely
right now it's just about holding.
And you can only really move the rook up and down one square, maybe the king, but that looks so risky.
Yeah. Self-pinned.
You are, but it's holding. It's holding.
It's doing the job.
Yeah. And the white knight is stuck, so white has to play around with his rook.
Chuck fortress. It's the only fortress you can get. Well, I mean, great defensive play though by Chucky, isn't it? I mean, we know that Magnus is probably the best endgame player in the world, and Chucky is holding him.
Yeah, only 3 players have been able to get a draw against Magnus Carlsen in this tournament. Of course, that loss against Niemann. Let's not take that into account. So Ivanchuk could be the 4th player here to get a point against Magnus Carlsen.
And Magnus seems to be running out of ideas. He's moving his king around, but it's a bit unclear what he's actually doing with this. Can white just continue waiting? White's rook can step up, white's rook can maybe step across. I'm not sure how narrow the margin for error is right now.
I can tell you there's only 3 moves, and this rook move was correct. If you'd moved the rook maybe off the G-line, you would have lost.
Wow.
That's insane.
So I was very tempted to move it over 1 square.
Yeah, me too.
But that was losing, was it?
Yes.
Why is that losing? I don't know. I'm not going to look at it now either.
I think we'll need days or months of analysis to go into a deep dive of this one. But Ivanchuk is
trying everything. I mean, if the black king can move 1 square forwards, that also looks like to me should be winning for black, or nearly winning.
It's an important moment here, just to kind of say to you guys, because if he'd stepped back with the rook to g1, he would have lost. This, he still maintains the fortress. It's okay.
Really?
And he has to move his rook along the 2nd row. He can also defend the rook with his king, and it's still a draw. You know, so Ivanchuk here is just playing great chess. He's defending like a lion.
And let's just see what move we're on. Remember, if we get to move...
we have reached move 100. It's a super long game. The other games in round, round 11, correct, has started. We're going to jump into Niemann Aronian when this one finishes.
Yeah,
and I was thinking, Kai, that really good point you made. Queen and pawn against rook and knight, it should be winning, right? But if we think about it, white has 2 pieces, black has only 2 pieces. I mean, let's discard the kings. So white has a rook and knight. They're both pretty good. Yes, the queen is better than the rook, but white's knight is better than the black pawn. So it kind of makes some sense, I guess, that white is just about holding here. Of course, the queen is the best piece, and I think in practical terms, 90-something% of these games would end in a black win. But remember, this is kind of the top 1% of chess players in the world. This is the elite. And if it's objectively a correct draw, then Ivanchuk, I mean, so far he's done a good job of proving that.
20 moves to go. He's just, he's done 30 moves already. So if he can do another 20 moves, it will be a draw. Just be called a draw.
And I guess, so the thing Magnus Carlsen would have to do to win this game would be to get the white pieces out of the eye line of that pawn.
Yeah, if he can somehow kick the white pieces away. I think that's why, as Ivanka mentioned, the narrow path to survival for white is just keeping this white formation. This defensive formation Ivanchuk's found is perfect for stopping that black pawn. But if he can kick the pieces away or catch them at a moment where they're kind of off balance, then push his pawn himself, then he might win. But if not, then fortress and draw. I think Ivanchuk deserves the draw in this one, just for his defence.
I think he's played it perfectly as well. I mean, there's so many little opportunities, which I didn't realise that you pointed out, Ivanka, where you can just play one slightly bad move as white and you lose your fortress. But he hasn't done that. He's kept this harmony between his 3 pieces. But it really is like an animal in its shell, isn't it, here? You really are just sort of moving about in that shell, trying to keep the defence against the attacking queen here. And here he goes. I think he's going to hold it, right? I think he's going to hold this draw.
It's looking like he's found a good way, and he's navigating those traps very, very quickly and very easily as well. But still, I still think it's a long, long road ahead of him.
But Magnus doesn't look like he's too optimistic anymore. He'd made some kind of gesture there, as if he's giving up the winning attempts. And okay, the knight moves. Magnus hasn't made any progress, we should mention, for those last 35 moves. So will we see that draw soon? And this game, it's had like 5 or 6 different phases. It's like the opening phase, the middle game battle, the queens came off. It was still kind of half middle game, half end game, but just the way the players kind of transition and still so accurate, it's impressive. And Ivanchuk's built up 2.5 minutes on the clock as well, we should mention. He was down at a couple of seconds not that long ago. So he's very confident right now.
I'm not sure what else Black can try as well. I mean, Magnus has tried everything. He's put his king on the other side of the pawn, on this side of the pawn. He's trying to force his way through, but Chucky has stopped him at every hurdle. So just don't blunder now, Chucky, and you got this. You got this.
And I think it was quite instructive on his last move. White just pushed his king to the side. He didn't go after the black pawn. The white rook could have actually stepped up, check a couple of moves ago, and taken that black pawn, but white would have lost all coordination, and the black king would have come in. Now the black king is cut off by the white rook.
It's so important in these positions, isn't it, to keep your knight, rook, and king all defending each other. You know, when you're playing against the queen, you've got to keep your pieces close. You've got to keep them defending, because they can drop off very, very easily if you try anything too much. And he's doing that. He's doing everything
perfectly. We've
perfectly.
seen this position before, right?
I mean, if we see the position repeat itself 3 times, I think the game is automatically declared a draw by the server. So, yeah, I mean, we've seen something very similar at least. And Ivanchuk, is that the adrenaline? Is he shaking his foot? Is that making the whole computer vibrate?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's full of energy. At a sprightly 53 years old. And yeah, he's defending this one still very well. You can give a check with the white rook, for example, here.
And can you push the rook over to in front of the king? Maybe get that fortress position again as well.
Would also be a draw. Also,
be a
checking the king with the knight would also be a draw. But of course, you have to be prepared to set that fortress up again.
No.
Yeah, this is pretty much quite a few moves draw. It's not such a narrow path.
You can attack the black queen with the white rook as well. Ivanchuk, do you reckon he's just counting in his mind how many moves it's been? His memory's very good.
Yeah, he could be working it out. Yeah.
Often the top players, they can scroll on the computer screen and they can check when the last pawn move was made. But often they just kind of play and they just believe in their defense. They don't worry about the 50 move rule in rapid chess, at least.
Well, it's only 10 moves now. 11 moves maybe to be totally accurate, but he's got to just survive for 11 moves without a capture or a pawn push. So we can count them down now. Okay.
He's getting closer.
Getting close. 10 moves to go.
Give another check, or go and attack the black queen with the white rook. Those look like the most natural. He kicks the king back. We've seen the black king in this side of the board before.
Yeah.
And Magnus he'll look to try and set one final trap. I don't see it, to be honest. He's tried everything already.
Yeah.
But what a high-quality game.
Yeah.
True grind like a grandmaster game.
Yeah. I mean, Magnus is doing the right thing. Never give up chances. Just if you have the advantage, no risk. Try and play for the win. Like maybe 10 games out of 100, he would have beaten Ivanchuk here, but that's still a decent percentage. Yeah, this one is headed towards a draw, though.
So Ivanchuk will still be in the lead in their head-to-head score in rapid chess. 15 wins before this game and 13 for Magnus. This will probably put another draw on that list.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
7 more moves.
7 more moves.
Yep. After Black's 122nd move, the game will be automatically a draw, unless there is a pawn push. And okay, the knight moving. Slightly surprised by that one, but it looks like the fortress is still intact.
Still holding it. I think the knight can always come back, I guess, as well, and there's not long to go now. And I think Magnus must realise that it's move 122, so good thing that's a check, otherwise you would lose, because there's a nasty knight fork there. But you are checking the king there, so just
The white
just
king.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, how narrow is the path now? Ivanchuk?
Not narrow at all. Any king move, any rook block is going to be a draw, and he chooses to make the rook move. And king comes forward. Let's see how this one works out.
I think we've seen something similar, at least before.
Yeah.
The white king is doing a great job of protecting both of its pieces at the same time.
5 moves. Been counting down.
I get
5.
to see some reaction from these two when the game finishes.
Yeah.
It's lasted now for 70 minutes almost.
It's 120 move coming up, or is that 120?
Yeah.
So maybe it's only 3 moves now, or 2 moves. I can't count anymore.
After black
so
makes 3 moves, it will be
a draw.
a draw.
Yeah.
At this point, you can almost nearly blunder a piece as long as black doesn't have time to take it before the 102nd.
God, that'd be risky. Blunder a piece and try to press the draw button really quickly. Just for the buzz.
I had a rook and bishop versus rook endgame. My opponent made 49 moves and then blundered his rook on move 50. But before I had time to take it, I had to make my 50th move and take it on the 51st. And he claimed the draw.
Claimed the draw. Oh.
And he pretended he did it
We
by
have
accident.
move
but,
122.
okay, the game, unless I'm counting
it?
wrong, it should be a draw after
After
black's move now.
Maybe Chucky wants to play it on a little bit. No, Chucky.
We're going to see.
There
It
it
is a
is.
draw. It is a draw.
It is a draw after 123 moves in 17 minutes. 2 legends in chess, the great Vasily Ivanchuk, with a sigh of relief. He gets a draw against world #1 Magnus Carlsen. A great game.